Hey everybody, welcome to a new video episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis here once again. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I say that pretty much every time because it's always been a while since I've done one of these. It has been some months, and it's a lot of when can I find 20 to 30 minutes all on my own where nobody's going to bother me. I don't have my regular job to worry about. I don't have my family to worry about. And when that is, apparently is Wednesdays at about 6:30 in the morning. So, good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the video podcast that I've been trying to do. Like I said, trying to do this once a month or so. It'd be nice to get this because I know that video podcasts are really big for a lot of people. A lot of that is because you want to see who it is, but the problem is I don't have a really nice setup. I have a $50 webcam that I bought. I've got my regular recording microphone, and I have all of my tchotchkes in the back. I guess it's enough. I mean, look, I'm no Hassan, right? I'm not looking to be. I'd like to be. The guy makes a lot of fucking money. But he says some things that I don't say. Anyway, I wanted to do this because a lot of times the conversations I have with Nate and I are talking about dad stuff. I don't really talk about my stuff on its own, and I know that is something that some people want. So a few things that I have going on. Recently, we've been doing a lot of in-person events. So if you're a St. Louisan, or if you're in the general St. Louis area, we're always doing some of the local events. So if you want to come and buy stuff, or if you just want to meet me, I've had that happen more than once. I've had people show up and either recognize my voice. I've had my voice recognized from podcasts more than anything. I guess I have a very distinctive voice. Either that or I just talk way too much. I think it's distinctive. I never hear anybody else that sounds like me. So I have that. I have people recognizing me from there. I have people that recognize the things that I sell. Like, wait a minute, I've seen that on Twitter, Blue Sky / whatever. So if you are local, this weekend coming up, the first weekend of March, I'm going to be at Oakville High School, 2 days, and then next month, April, I have 2 events. We'll talk about those when we get a little bit closer to them. But if you're going to be local, nearby, Oakville High School, it's out in South County near the 55-255 interchange on South End. So we'll be there. We'll be selling things. I appreciate all of the support that we've gotten, especially since there's been obviously a lot of changes happening, not just in the last month with politics being the shit that it is, but a lot of moving away from Twitter. You lose a lot, but you gain a lot, I guess. I don't really think I was losing much by leaving Twitter. I had 30,000 followers. I know for a fact that a lot of those people did not log in anymore. And, you're not getting any visibility there. And it's not fun. It just wasn't fun to be on Twitter anymore. So I'm on Blue Sky with everybody else. I would love to say that Blue Sky is the haven that you've always been looking for. It's not. It's also full of a bunch of assholes. But, it seems like all of the people that, you wanted to get away from certain people on Twitter. And you didn't realize you also wanted to get away from other people on Twitter. All the really annoying lib people who ostensibly are on my side politically, but Jesus Christ. So Blue Sky is there. I'm there. I post. I post a lot there, and then sometimes I don't post a lot there. It depends. But usually any projects I'm working on, art that I'm working on, I've got a Ferengi Rules of Acquisition piece that I'm working on. So I will post a lot of that stuff. I don't really politics post a lot anymore because politics are scary and depressing, and also everybody else is doing that, and you don't need me doing that too, right? That's not who I want to be anymore. It's a big reason why we changed from What a Hell of a Way to Die to What a Hell of a Way to Dad. Nate and I didn't want to talk about the military anymore, and we certainly didn't want to dive deep into politics because so many other people are doing that. I feel look, this podcast started during the first Trump election, and that really pushed a lot of our growth. Also, we were just kind of striking when the iron was really hot for podcasts back in 2015, 2016. And, I love that we had longevity. I love that we still have a dedicated group of people that listen, and I appreciate all of you. And but now it's there's not new podcasts happening. It's like there's resurgence of all of this terrible stuff, and like it was hard. Like during the Biden administration, I know it was hard for people because Biden also sucked, but like not everybody wanted to hear it. But now Trump sucks, and everybody wants to hear it. So, but you're not going to hear it here. I don't want to do any of that. I want to talk about books that I've read, like Agincourt, Bernard Cornwell, who I have been trying to get onto the show. Schedules didn't really match up very well so far. The man's in his 80s, but so is my father, and my father would be on a podcast, I think. My dad loves to talk, so. But Agincourt follows the exploits of one of the longbowmen at Agincourt during the 100 Years' War on the English side. Agincourt is a very interesting battle in that a lot of historians know about it, but it's not that important of a battle. Like, it's just one battle of the 100 Years' War. It just happened that we have a lot of really good sources, like first-hand sources on it, and also it's kind of the downfall of your man-at-arms, your men in plate armor, because these things just kind of punched right through it. And then full-on knights who have been like training for their entire lives get their shit rocked by a bunch of archers. Not just like when they were shooting arrows, because they shot all their arrows. And they're like, well, we still have like 5,000 of us. Let's just clobber the shit out of these guys when they get too close, because they're going through mud, climbing over other dead bodies, wearing 150 pounds worth of gear, and then like some dude who has never taken a solid shit and has never had more than a handful of grain of rice in his entire day takes a hammer and caves your skull in, and you're dead. And you're French. So Agincourt is a great book. I like it because Bernard Cornwell has written a lot of the Sharpe books. Well, he's written all the Sharpe books, and he does a lot of these historical fiction books. That, like, look, I know I'm not learning real history from these. I'm learning a fictionalized kind of history, but Cornwell has always been really good at, being very realistic and doing the research and reading other, books so that he can build what he writes. And you're not going to get a lot of like, oh, here's the intrigue and what's going on with Henry V and all of this and all of that and all the politic back side of it. No, it's just a guy who's like, I don't know. His main goals are, I want to get fed, I want to eat, and also a saint is talking to me in my head, and now I want to kill Frenchmen. So you get a good, it's a good way of learning a little bit of history without having to kind of slog through some very well, look, you should read well researched and intentioned, things about periods of history that you care about. But Cornwell does a very good job of making it fun to learn some of these things and being very bloody at the same time. Agincourt, very, very bloody battle. A lot of brains and chunks of men-at-arms being flung all over the place. So highly recommend that book. It's probably one of the most dad books I've ever read. I mean, I also have read Master and Commander. I guess that is the most dad book. There's like 20 of those. So there's a lot of historical fiction that I can start diving into. But I got to get Cornwell now because all these guys are old and don't write necessarily anymore. Agincourt came out in 2008, and I know that Cornwell is still cranking out books regularly, so he's still got it going on. So I got to get him on the show and talk about the man who made dad literature possible for me. Because I'd say my mom really likes historical fiction books. She reads them constantly, and she's always giving me stuff that like. Some of it is a little questionable on the history. Some of it is a little... look, Crusaders were a bunch of assholes, so I don't want to read a book about how great all the Crusaders were. So, Agincourt. Read that book, I guess. What else do I have going on? Next month for a bonus episode. So, patreon.com/hellofawayti. We have bonus episodes always there. I have some coming up this month. This is February that I'm recording this. In March, we're going to have this. So in March, I've got 2 bonus episodes that I'm really looking forward to. Deadliest Warrior, Season 2 of Deadliest Warrior. We have started that. I started out with Jordan from Better Way 2A. He and I talked about, what did we talk about? The SWAT versus the GSG-9, which Season 2 of Deadliest Warrior, you kind of start to see that they're losing. That like the first season was like the locker room, like what if a Spartan fought a Zulu warrior? I guess, stupid shit like that. But now we've got SWAT versus GSG9, which is like the German anti-terror organization. So Milo Edwards will be coming on to talk about Attila the Hun versus Alexander the Great. So some good history that I'm sure that we're going to find on this one. So that's going to be coming in March. Also, I'm going to be talking to Eric Peacock, who's over on the Soundtracker podcast. Eric has come over onto my show a couple of times. I've done his show. I really like doing Eric's show because I'm not a real big film guy, capital film guy. But I do like movies. There's specific ones that I really like. And I know Eric is a film guy. And one of the things that Eric has kind of a blank in, which he's admitted to me, is musicals. So I really want to bring Eric on to talk about musicals. And I'm going to have to look, I can't just, hit somebody with, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Although, good musical. Real fucked up if you watch it nowadays. But back then, pretty good. So we're going to do Newsies, which we have done on this show years ago. But it was Joe and Carrie, who are both not film guys, both not musical guys. I like musicals, specific certain ones, but there's a lot of musicals and show tunes. I really like Pirates of Penzance, Into the Woods, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. There's a lot of really good musicals out there. And Newsies is the one that got me into musicals. I think that came out in 92 or 93, I believe. A Disney movie about the Newsboys Union strike of 1899. So, and it's early Christian Bale, like very early Christian Bale. Great music in it, I think. So he's going to come on. I'm going to actually have a film guy to talk to about this movie, some of the set pieces, how they set it up. Because, when you do a musical, especially when you do a musical with large dance numbers, your entire set has to be able to accommodate that. So the way they do that in New York, where they have kind of broad open spaces to have, dance numbers and singing numbers and everything like that, to have movement back and forth, it's very well done. So looking forward to talking to Eric about that. Looking forward to watching Newsies again for like my, second dozenth time. It's one of those movies I've seen more than 10 times at least. So he and I will be talking about that. All of that's going to be coming out in March. Patreon is where you can find those once those drop. Looking forward to both of those. And we'll also, this week, you're going to have a bonus episode coming out of, I think we did the Q&A. This one's coming out? I believe so. I don't know if it's come out or not yet, but a Zoo Crew Q&A. Actually, I think we already did release that one. So I think we're good for February already. So, but also 8 years of bonus content. Some of it even good. So, but Nate and I will continue to do what we do, our dad chats. We appreciate that people, I've noticed that like since we do dad chats, we get more comments on things on YouTube and on Patreon. I put them up, like even our free episodes I put up on Patreon for free because I know some people use that RSS feed. So we're getting a lot more comments and a lot more interaction with our fans, which is great. I love that. I want to hear your dad stuff, and I want to know if you want to come on and talk dad stuff. I think we're going to I'm trying to get Hussein from Trash Future on. Hussein's got a fairly new child himself, but new kid, man. It's hard to find time, especially when you have like other podcast obligations, and then just like, oh, come on this asshole's podcast. But I got Nate, and Nate's got my in, so we'll get Hussein on. We'll figure out a time. We'll find 45 minutes where he's conscious and not taking care of a baby, and we'll bring him on. That's really what I have going on. That's my forward thoughts. I don't really think more than about a month ahead on podcast content. Sometimes we're just kind of reacting to whatever's going on. Sometimes I just don't really want to record, and I will go, sometimes I'll have a week where I just do one episode, and then I'll have a week where I do 7 episodes. So next week, I know I've got a bunch of stuff. I think I want to get another MASHcast down. Actually, Carrie and I are going to be starting season 3 of MASH. If you haven't been listening to MASHcast, we'll do 2 episodes, and we discuss them. But something that I have found and that I'm looking forward to doing is that Suicide is Painless, the song that comes on before MASH. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. That's called Suicide is Painless. It's a fucking stupid song. And if you think like, oh, if you read the lyrics and like this feels like it was written by a dumb teenager. It was. Johnny Mandel's son, I think, is the one who wrote the lyrics to that because they're like, you need lyrics. You can't have a song that's just an instrumental. You have to have lyrics. So Suicide is Painless was born. But let me tell you, a lot of people have done covers of Suicide is Painless. So what I'm hoping to do is to start having a rotation of like the opening number being one of these various covers of Suicide is Painless. I found funk versions, I found punk versions, I've found like there's so many. I've found at least a dozen so far, and that was just on one Google search. So I feel like we can find some good stuff to really kind of amp up our MASH. And also, Carrie was saying, we can also kind of, maybe take a break from that and watch some older stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't watched before. I know Carrie is really into Columbo. I don't really want to do necessarily a Columbo podcast necessarily, but I don't know. I want to find some older stuff. Like, of everybody else on the show, Carrie is one of the most dad coded guys that we have. Even he doesn't have any kids, but he, like me, grew up on a lot of old TV. So I didn't watch, he's also like me, where we didn't watch a lot of action movies, like those 90s action movies that everybody's like, oh, I can't believe, my wife gives me shit all the time. She's like, I can't believe you've never seen the Kevin Costner Robin Hood. I had never seen Rambo or any of the Rambos until 6 or 7 years ago. So there's a lot of blanks that I have in that. But I have watched a shitload of MASH, a lot of I Love Lucy, a lot of Happy Days. I didn't have cable when I was a kid. So when I was at home sick, or I was at home on summer vacation doing the mom and dad have to go to work and I have to stay in the house and stare at a TV for 6 hours at a time, I was watching a lot of whatever was on Channel 11, which was our WBCW now. It's where I watch Bob Barker, I guess. I don't know. So he and I have a background of a lot of old TV. So we're going to look into some other things that maybe we can watch. Because, look, MASH, we could definitely go forever for MASH. I mean, we've done 2 seasons. There are 9 more to go. And I'm going to be honest, at a certain point, it starts to not be as good. But I don't know. Maybe we'll continue going on with it. Look, I have no plans to stop doing this podcast anytime soon. So we'll eventually get to the last episode of MASH, I'm sure. Unless Trump makes podcasting illegal. I don't know. I hope not. The deputy of the FBI is a podcaster, so we're in there. Dan Bongino, we're in the podcasters. So we're gonna have a lot of other stuff going on. I don't really like having too much of my bonus content be reliant on media consumption, because I can't assume everybody's watched Newsies, and I don't expect you to go oh, I need to prepare for listening to this podcast. I need to go listen to this 30-year-old, or I need to go watch this 30-year-old musical and have opinions on it. I don't feel like you have to do that, and I don't want you to always have to do that. So with the Zoo Crew, I'm always also trying to do at least one episode a month of Q&A, or just having a bull session, or sometimes I'll just come with a topic and we'll just go for 50 minutes or so. I like to have things like that where we're podcasting is fun. It's not like a job. It doesn't require you to sit down and work. I know Joe has to do a lot of prep for his shows, and he does most of the work on his episodes. I've been on a lot of his episodes. I show up completely. I don't want to know anything about whatever we're talking about. I want to be completely surprised by any of it. So I do no preparation for his show other than I show up on time. So I like to be able to offer him hey, here's a podcast that you don't have to do any prep for. And I like to have that for him and Carrie. I like to have that for me too, where I don't I have to watch a couple of things for next week, Newsies and Deadliest Warrior. I got to find time to watch those things. And I got the time. I can squeeze it in and everything, but I don't want to force everybody else to. So keep an eye out. We're definitely going to have plenty of stuff that is not reliant on you watching something. If you have other ideas, please let me know. I'm always up for new ideas for regular episodes or bonus episodes. At this point, you guys know what we're looking for. The format, how we do. So if you got anything, if you want to hear anything, if there's any other author that you'd want to come on, let me know. I can try to get most of them. I was trying to get Max Brailer. Max Brailer writes a series of books called The Last Kids on Earth, and it's kind of a apocalypse. I don't think it's zombie apocalypse, but it's made for kids. My 9-year-old daughter reads them. And there's a spin-off of that, The Last Comics on Earth, which is the comics that the kids that are the last kids on Earth are creating. But Max Brailer, I want to get him on because he also wrote the movie VFW, the 2019 horror movie VFW, which we talked about on the show, which I absolutely loved. It's not a great movie. It is a fantastic movie. It's everything that you would want in a horror movie. I fucking love that movie. So I've been trying to get him on. I know that he's been doing a lot of book tours and everything. So I don't know if I'm going to get him. Next month though, John Scalzi is coming to St. Louis. So maybe I'll try to kind of like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? I don't know if that's rude. I don't know if that's a shitty thing to do. It's like, hey, while I have you trapped here, come on my podcast. Say yes or no. We'll see. I don't know if he really does podcasts or anything, but I have been a fan of his books for a long time. My father actually got me into the Old Man War series, so I'm looking forward to him dipping back into that world and myself meeting an author and getting another autographed book. I will add it to the ones that I have from. I got Joe has signed a couple of his books and sent them to me. Joe Haldeman from Forever War. Autographed a book for me, and Jason Kander. A lot of J's I got, and now John Scalzi. So I'm sensing a theme. Bernard, send me a signed copy of something that we can break this curse. So that is what is going on this month and next month, and what I'm hoping to do. So please keep an eye out for more of these. I am trying to do more of these. I like to be able to talk about what's coming up, kind of give you a state of the podcast and a state of myself and the things that I want to do going forward, and wanting to know what you want going forward as well. So hit us up. You can always email Sergeant Joker at whatahellofawaytodie.com. That email is still live. I actually had that email closed down for a little bit, and then I opened it back up because one, the Patreon was going to that, and suddenly I'm not getting emails from Patreon, so we had to change that. But also, like, that email has been shared out amongst like a lot of online sources that are like, hey, if you are looking to pimp a book or something like that, here's people that might be into that. And look, 9 times out of 10, it's shit. 9 times out of 10, it's some colonel who's trying to sell like a book about 10 things that, being a desk jockey in the Air Force has taught me about life. I don't know, whatever. But it has gotten us Cory Doctorow. So I can't say that it's all bad. And Cory was a great interview. I loved having him on. He's really fun to have on. I think I do love when people come on to talk about a book and then we don't talk about that book whatsoever. And, not in a disrespectful kind of way, but because there's other things we want to talk about. And we talk about the book, like, hey, he got a new book. That's great. Here's the new book. But anyway, here's how do you feel about it when a printer makes a weird sound at you? Like, I personally want to shoot it. So you should find that old Cory Doctorow interview. It's really good. And the old Joe Haldeman one, too. I have an old interview with Joe Haldeman. I do have a background. I do have a history of interviewing authors, and I really want to do some more of that. So hopefully we'll find some time to do that more in the future. I'll find some more people to get. I'll get Max on. I'll get Bernard on. We will get things going, get things cranking, and get some more content out there. That's not just me and Nate, but definitely Nate and I are going to be there for you. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. I enjoy doing these. I enjoy kind of having a one-on-one with the audience where, I don't know, man. I just like talking to you. I like giving you my face. And every time I do one of these, somebody new watches and they're like, I thought you would have like a beard and not look like that. And I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'm going to take it as one. So thank you for being surprised at how I look. I assume it's how good I look at the age of 41. The secret is to have a cheap webcam that is slightly low res so it doesn't show all the wrinkles. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will talk to you next week.